True, nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses. Not destroyed, but dulled it. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object, there was none. Passion, there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture. A pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man and thus rid myself of the eye forever. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation. I went to work, and every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently. And then when I had made an opening sufficient for my hand, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. I undid it. Oops.
This I did for 7 long nights.
Yeah, you didn't mark it up for it, I'll get it. And this I did for 7 long nights. Every night, just at midnight. I found the eye always closed. And so it was impossible to do the work. For it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning, when the day broke...
No, cut that all the way to the bottom of the page.
All right.
Here. Go to the pencil.
Can you get closer?
Yeah, go ahead. Don't get this way. Okay, so your next page, you're upon the 8th night.
Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moved more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers. My sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. I was about to open the latch when my thumb slipped across upon the fasten, and the old man sprang up in the bed, crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle. And in the meantime, I did not hear him run out. He was still sitting up in the bed listening, just as I have done, night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan.
Whoa, stop. Robbie, I gotta get here a pretty good groan, but don't turn your head. Now, I couldn't hear it really loud, comical groan. That's good. Don't lay back down, you're still sitting up. All right, go ahead, Peter.
Okay. Presently I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no. It was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe.
Moan a little more, Robbie, then lay down. That's good.
I knew the sound well, many a night, just at midnight. When all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt and pitied him, although I chuckled at heart. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise. When he had turned in the bed, his fears had been ever since growing upon him. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily until at length a single dim ray.
All right, turn your head towards the audience now, Robbie. No, don't sit up though. Just roll it over. That's it. Keep going, David.
Like the thread of the spider, shut from out of the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye.
All right, you see the eye? The audience sees the eye.
Is there any way to push that script further up so that your face is tilted more open?
I can go like this right here.
All right, ready? Here we go. Ready? See the eye? Saw the eye?
Midnight. As the bells sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men who introduced themselves with perfect suavity, the officers of police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night.
Move on to the light, Adrian.
Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been deputed to search the premises. I smiled, for what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chamber. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest for their fatigues. The officers were satisfied. My manner had conceived them. It was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerfully, they chatted familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears, but they still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely and again